For all the Black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping Black Americans too, right? And they're just saying, oh, we thought they were African, we thought they were illegal immigrants. And then they will detain you for days, sometimes weeks, so that they can have their way with you in the ICE detention center while they figure out that you're an American citizen. In fact, that's exactly what happened to this lady right here. She's an American citizen. They detained her for 2 days and kept her in that detention center. And this is what they're doing with so many people. If you're not white, they will target you. If they just have a bad day, they just feel angry or feel extra racist that day, they'll target you, kidnap you, beat you, throw you in the back of a truck, and take you to some random ICE detention center. There was one citizen that they actually deported to a whole nother country, and she was a US citizen. This is no longer about left versus right. This is no longer even political. It's just straight up racism against anybody who isn't white. If it was about them not working, then why is ICE showing up to their jobs to arrest them and deport them? If it was about them not paying taxes, then why is ICE using the IRS to find them? And if it was about them not being here legally, then why is ICE waiting for them at their court hearings where they are going to follow the legal proceedings of how to become a citizen here and how to be a legal resident here? It's never been about any of that. It's always been about race. Always. If you're not white, you are their target. Right-wingers, people who support ICE, are white, and they will never ever admit that it's about race for them. They want anybody who isn't white to be beaten, kidnapped, deported. They want punishment. They want violence against anyone who isn't white. That is their goal.
Hello folks, welcome to the channel. The video just watched went viral yesterday, It was one of a white commentator warning Black Americans that, ICE was coming for them next. But Black Americans were already being detained, mistaken for immigrants, and even deported. And almost immediately, there was backlash from the Black American community, forcing the creator to delete the original post. But as you may know, the internet, as usual, never forgets. This was not because Black Americans don't understand racism, no. It's not because they don't understand, government abuse, but because something about this message actually didn't sit well. So before I give my full commentary, I want to let clips of various creators roll, most of which are Black Americans. They are reacting to this very subject matter. Please note that full credit belongs to each of the creators. Support them by checking out their work. I also appeal for your support by, liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel as we aim the 1000 subscriber milestone so that we can continue giving you, grounded Black American stuff, mostly from the lived experiences. Thereafter, we'll talk about why so many Black Americans rejected this framing, not because of fear. So guys, watch to the very end, then I'll be coming back with my commentaries.
For all the Black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem,
Nah. Black people are on vacation. White people, you fix this.
Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping Black Americans.
Yeah, that video is as insufferable as it sounds. Someone saying that Black people who want to sit it out, like, don't you know ICE is coming for Black people too? There are two things that happen during times of intense, social and political unrest in which this kind of violence escalates that happens. One is people want to lecture Black people on our own history. These are the same people who say, like, well, Dr. King, or, whatever happened in nonviolent protest. All these things, we know. We have grown up in our history. We have grown up steeped in our history. I'm not saying every single one of us, but the vast majority of us, we know. The second thing that happens is they like to place us in positions of danger that we're not even in. And I know, there are Black people being taken by ICE. I watch the news. But the other thing is that they'll be like, imagine if that was a Black person. Now, think about if they had taken 5 Black people, what would happen? I'm like, we're not even there. People they get off of thinking about violence towards us, even when we're not in a situation. And so the black people I know are organizing. The black people I know care about what's happening. The black people I know have been talking about this their entire life. We just want you to leave us alone so that we can do what we've been doing. Because we're going to be in community with other non-black people who've been in community with us. But I can tell you from that video, you're not going to be one of them.
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too, right? And they're just saying, oh, we thought they were African. We thought they were illegal immigrants. And then they will detain you.
We were first. We were first. Baldhead nigga. Like, yes, we were first. Like, here come the black people videos. Why y'all not doing this and why y'all not doing that? Why aren't you? Why didn't you? What did you do? Did you do your due diligence? Because we were first. We were first. We gonna always be first. We always at the top of somebody fuck you list, basically. So, yeah, the answer's no. We'll come outside when it's time for us to come outside. And right now, it ain't time for us to be outside. It's time for y'all to be outside. Fight for your rights. Y'all finna go live in Christian hell. Fight for that. Y'all ain't gonna have no health care. Fight for that. They kicked us out of the WHO. Y'all go fight for that shit. The fuck? White people tired of fighting. I'm Chinese now. Chinese now.
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans.
I myself am a Haitian American. I'm not a black American. So if black Americans don't mind me speaking up for y'all just for a few, that, you know, it's up to y'all. This man talked about some ICE is over there kidnapping black Americans too. They've been kidnapping black Americans for 400 years. Your forefathers literally dragged their asses over here across the Atlantic, ate them, peeled their skin, raped the hell out of them, their women and their men and their children, wore their skin for shoes. And then once slavery was abolished, then you guys started kidnapping them again during the Jim Crow era, doing stuff with ropes and trees. That's the best way to put it. And then you guys would innocently throw black people in prison. You guys would kidnap them by being modern slave catchers, cops, throwing them in the system. And you guys are still doing that to this day. White people have been kidnapping the hell out of black Americans for quite some time now. They're not new to this. Now, me as a Haitian, I'm going to go out there and continue to fight, because at the end of the day, my people are not from America. They're from Haiti, and we were privileged to be here. So Haitians getting kidnapped, Haitians getting thrown in cages, that's my problem, not black Americans' problem. So I'm gonna speak up for that. Black Americans ain't gotta do shit. Don't you think they sacrificed enough? Don't you think they sacrificed enough? They're not even allowed to reclaim their own culture because you guys constantly bite the hell off of them. Hip hop, clothes, jazz, rock and roll. I mean, haven't y'all stolen enough from them? Haven't y'all kidnapped enough from them? Come on, man.
For all of black people saying that ICE isn't our problem, do you realize y'all next? Yeah, we. I mean, I'm out the country. We next. I got family in the States. Y'all are next. They told you. White power. They trying to get rid of everything that don't look like them. Which is crazy because, again, they stole that land and murdered and slaughtered the Native Americans who were, native to this land. They're even trying to get rid of Native Americans. It was a different story. This is an everyone's problem. Latinos, blacks, whites, everyone. America had the chance of being one of the greatest countries that is a melting pot of all these different cultures, all these different people. The ability to start something and have something. And this is what is going on in less than a year of presidency. It's time to step up.
All the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too, right? And they're just saying, oh, we thought they were African.
TikTok supports white supremacy, so does he and anybody that has tried to use that talking point. We know that by far Black people voted against ICE overwhelmingly, more than any demographic in this country, by far. So it doesn't matter if you see 1 million black people on here saying that they don't care, that they're not going to do anything, even if they say they're happy. We know that if there is one demographic of people that rolled the loudest and the most against ICE, it is black people. But the elevated views and clicks for racist videos don't just apply to conservatives, even though they overwhelmingly make that content. It also applies to a lot of liberals. It also applies to a lot of non-racist people. Unfortunately, the black experience in this country since its inception has always been that the sound bite, the video clip, and the stereotype will always be louder than our actual actions. Y'all have a good one.
Trying to guilt black people into free labor is precisely what white supremacy is. I don't know why there's so much gaslighting, but trying to require black people to go and take a burden of something that may haphazardly affect them, but it's not a direct attack on them like it has been previously, and telling them that it's their problem and they must activate and they must go out and fight without addressing their own hardships. Because we need to understand that in as much as there are immigrants being detained, there are a lot more Black Americans in the criminal justice system being detained. If you want Black labor, you need to attend to Black issues. Where is the criminal justice bill? Why aren't you talking about your support for reparations? No, you should just go out there and fight because we said fight and this is somehow going to affect you. I'm proud of the Black people who are standing down. And to me, it's not just about rest. It's about understand my worth and understand my value. You see now that you can't get nothing done without me. So what are you going to give me? What are you going to do for me?
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too, right? And they're just saying, oh, we thought they were African. We thought they were illegal immigrants. And then they will detain you for days, sometimes weeks, so that they can have their way with you in the ICE detention center while they...
Wrong message, even worse messenger. We do not ever need a white person in this country to tell us what is at stake when it comes to the government, police enforcement, and how police enforcement can cause harm to Black Americans. My father sat me down when I was 15 years old because I started to look like a man and taught me how to interact with police. Every Black family teaches their Black sons how to interact with the police. Every Black family talks to their daughters about how to interact with the police. So for every conversation we have a Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, Eric Gardner, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Sonia Massey, Rodney King. I can go back decades, I can go back centuries to tell you how Black people are acutely aware of our relationship with law enforcement and the government. My grandmother was the first person in her family to buy a house in New York, and she moved into a white neighborhood. And you know what they did? They threw things at her house. They burned her garbage. They tried to push her out, all because she was Black and they didn't want her around. And every time the cops came, what did the cops do? Agitate my grandmother and grandfather, not the other way around. So no, sir. You do not need to tell Black people that we need to be going out on the street and fighting ICE, because Black people have never not fought to survive and live in this country, which is our right. Conditions in this country have been perpetuated and propagated by white people. White people are the only people that can fix it. This is your time to shine. This is your time to stand up. Black people have been fighting since slavery. The fact that you see us occupying spaces, owning homes, being doctors, being lawyers, graduating school is all because of a fight that has never ended. The fight has never ended for Black people. So the fact that you think you as a white man can come on Beyonce's internet and tell Black people what they need to be fighting for, it's so lost on you how you don't understand American history and how you don't understand intrinsically American culture. Because in order for us to exist in the capacity we exist in 2026, that is from a centuries long fight. You guys go out and do the work. You go out and fight your representatives. You go out and make noise at Capitol Hill. You go out and demand change. But don't ever come online and tell black people what they need to be fighting for.
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too, right? And
what now? Now what? Okay. And you know what else they used to do? They also used to kidnap us, beat us, rape us, lynch us, feed us to crocodiles. Due process? What's that? So do you think now we should probably like do something? Like, what do you think we should do? Should we like protest or march? Get down in the streets? Loot? And what really gets to me is that why aren't you saying the same thing about white people then? Seems as though you're imagining ICE only rounding up and taking into custody black Americans instead of perhaps white Americans. And if your real claim to assert some sort of, oh, they're coming after Americans in general, why are you asserting black Americans into the conversation and not white people who perhaps even have more recent immigration ties than black? Oh, I know. It's because you subconsciously or consciously believe that being a white American is the default American. You guys are the blue blood Americans, the Americans that have the longer, more refined, prestiged form of Americana. Despite the fact that I literally don't have a single ancestor who has not been in this country for at least 350 years. And thousands of years before that, if you include my Native American ancestors. Are you trying to imply that black Americans are lesser citizens than people who are white in this country or people who are non-black American? Because if that's the case, I'd say if anybody, it's to be rounded up other white people with more recent European immigration ties. Now, don't get me wrong, my heart breaks and I hate it to the point where I don't even watch the news really because it's all so just dystopian and terrifying. And what happened to Miss Renee is a tragedy by all accounts and it's disgusting. But how do you think ethnic black Americans have been able to survive in the United States for around 350, 400 years or so? So why are you admonishing or pointing a finger at ethnic black Americans when we overwhelmingly in the percentages of the 90% and 80 percentile margin voted against the current administration that is currently carrying out these systemic, horrible, anti-constitutional laws? Yet we're supposed to be Captain Save-A-Ho for another group's woes that the numbers, it was a flip-flop. And I'll be honest with you, even if we were to all get up and get out right now and run to the streets and get up in one mass black congruency and just run out into the streets and protest and get beat upside the head and be the first ones thrown in jail and all of the things, nothing would happen but a couple of more bruised black folks and black people with more criminal records. That said, I think it would behoove you to keep the child of the slave's name out of your mouth and save your questioning for people who either voted for or did not vote for this current madness. Have your papers.
for all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too.
We know about kidnapping. We got kidnapped from Africa, got here, worked the land. After we worked the land, we fought for our freedom, got our freedom. After we fought for our freedom, we went to Jim Crow. Jim Crow is where y'all started lynching us, hanging us, because y'all didn't do that during slavery, eating us and all type of weird ass shit and taking our land. After you took our land, we had to do segregation because you guys wanted to be segregated after you stole our shit. After you stole our shit, we had civil rights so we all can be equal. Everybody, immigrants and everybody. That's when the immigrants started coming. Black immigrants did not come to America until civil rights. After that, y'all put crack in our neighborhoods and then we just disappeared. Y'all stopped giving a fuck about us and shit. Boom, 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 boom. Niggas getting killed by the police to the left and right. We telling you guys about it. No one's fucking listening. No one's listening. It's time to vote. Black women vote 90%. Black men vote like 85 or 80%. Not to fuck with the orange dude. And the immigrants don't vote the same way. And you want us to do something about it? Fuck out of here.
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too, right? And they're just saying, oh, we thought they were African. We thought they were illegal immigrants.
Oh, look at this cracker trying to educate black people like we don't already fucking know this. Isn't it kind of ironic we are now being educated by the same people that told us systematic racism didn't exist? The same people that told us black people were just lazy and that's why they don't get jobs. The same people that thought this system was actually working up until this fucking point. For me, it's them being condescending while they're the ones that don't know their own fucking history. These are the same people that are comparing ICE to the Gestapo instead of comparing it to Jim Crow to what it actually is. And that's because a lot of white people stay in their own fucking bubble. They don't know shit about black history. They don't know shit about what we go through. So now that they see they're the ones being actually affected, they're going to be like, well, you know, black people, you're actually being affected by this if you didn't know. We've always fucking known because we've always been the reason they do shit. They fucking hate us. You think we don't fucking know that?
When I see people making comments and videos saying, oh, black people, you know, referring to black Americans, don't get comfortable because you all are next, they're coming for you next. It's like, there's nothing the government can do to black Americans that they have not already done, that we are not already, you know, privy to. I mean, for one, slavery, but we are already an oppressed class. We've already had to deal with, you know, systemic racism, right? Black people get harsher prison sentences, we're paid less, police brutality. Even when, you know, segregation was a thing and black people were thriving, they burned our towns down, they flooded them, they literally poisoned black people, they used us as freaking test dummies. There's nothing that they can do to us that hasn't already been done. There's a lot of people of color who, you know, they know that they are inferior to white people, but as long as they're superior to black Americans, they didn't care. It's like, you know, yeah, you know, they don't really like us, but at least they don't treat us like the black Americans. They don't treat us like that, so I'm cool. They separate themselves from being black, right? We're people of color, but we're not black. You know, we're not American. We're not descendants of slaves. Like, they just tried to separate themselves from us and, you know, make themselves feel better than us. And now that, you know, all the focus is on them and getting them out and, you know, they're being severely mistreated. I can agree to that. Now they're upset. Y'all are more mad at the fact that black Americans aren't under attack than you are that your people are under attack. You're more focused on our reaction. Don't get comfortable because you're next. You're next. And it's like, why is that your thought process? Why is it always us that it comes back to? Because you can acknowledge that in this country, black people, black Americans specifically, are treated terribly. We are oppressed. We are seen as trash, garbage. And you thought as long as they don't think that I'm one of them, I'm cool. And now they're looking at you like you're worse than us, trying to send y'all back to, you know, y'all countries, saying horrible things about your country. Now you're mad at us. You're mad at us instead of the people who are doing it to you.
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're
fruit that looked like porky.
I really needed that little minute. Because y'all don't get tired of centering us in you guys' content. Why the fuck do we always keep coming up? Leave us the fuck alone. We have made it very clear since the election concluded that we want no part of none of the bullshit that was going on. We voted to try to protect everybody from the shit that is happening, and you guys didn't give a fuck. So therefore, y'all don't give a fuck for what we stood for and what we voted for. We don't give a fuck about what's going on in the world. We don't care. We knew it was coming. So to tell us that they're kidnapping black Americans, black African Americans, they don't represent us in totality. And also the black MAGA men in the comments, you're telling you need to go and hold the black MAGAs in the comments accountable. We're not holding them shit. We don't give a fuck. We're done with all of that. We don't care about none of that. Leave us alone. We keep telling y'all to leave us the fuck alone. Why do y'all have to keep asking us everything, telling us everything, coming to us about everything? We don't give a fuck. This is not our mess. We didn't create this cesspool of a fucking mess, so we're not about to be the street sweepers neither. We're not about to clean this shit the fuck up. Stop coming to us about this shit. Go to your people. hold your people accountable. Hold their foot to the fucking fire. And the lady that you showed a picture of in your video, she's not Black American. She looked like she comes from the continent of Africa. She may be an African American, but she's not indigenous to this land. So you need to know the difference before you even come in here trying to get us hyped up to get out there and put our black bodies on the fucking front line. We're not going on the front line. We are encouraging our men not to go out on the front line, but if they do decide to go, that's on them. Harriet said everybody couldn't come with her. So, leave us the fuck alone. We don't give a fuck. Stop centering us in you and your content. We don't give a shit. Leave us the fuck alone. Go ask all the white women. Do they know that white children are being abducted? Or go ask all the Epstein motherfucking victims, parents and friends and family. Do they know that their family members were victimized? Leave us the fuck alone. We are on break. You see us with our bonnets and our motherfucking moo-moos on. We don't want no parts of none of that.
There was one citizen that they actually deported to a whole nother country. And she was a U.S. citizen.
First of all, that paleface needs to mind his business, okay? He gonna sit up here and say, oh, you know, ICE is not your problem. Why are you don't even go here. What we got going on and how we choose to respond and react to certain things is none of your concern. Why are you even addressing us? You need to be addressing the agents, and you need to be addressing your fellow community, because your community is why we're in this situation that we're in right now, and why law enforcement, government agencies, federal agencies are running amok and don't have to ever answer for their brute force. It's because they've been doing it to Black Americans since forever. The police force was literally slave catchers, and it just transmuted and transformed into the police that we see today. So for y'all to keep saying y'all are gonna be next, we gotta keep. I feel like I sound like a broken record, y'all. A broken record. We were first. It never stopped happening to us, but y'all didn't give a fuck all. Because y'all don't care about Black American people. Y'all really don't. And for you to sit up here and say Black American people and to show a Somali woman, bitch, I need to throw something in. You gonna show a Somali woman while you're talking about Black Americans being detained and kidnapped? You know what? The nerve. Somali people didn't even consider themselves African as a collective. They never call themselves Black. And that woman in particular, this is why I keep feeling like it's a scheme that Todd set up. Why would she have them band-aids on her forehead? Like it's given performative. It's given, and the Oscar goes to. Now, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened to her. If that did happen, it was unfortunate, but it sounded like she was reading from a script and she got the script right, as opposed to that other Somali woman that started reading the script and said, oh my God, because she said crime is bad. And I don't think that was a part of what she was I don't think that was a part of what she was supposed to say, and she couldn't even get it out because she knew she was lying and scamming and cheating, and it was a scheme. But they gonna put that lady up there, and then she gonna say, oh, and they use the N-word. Aren't you all the class of people with melanin that have been running around saying the N-word means nothing to y'all because y'all have no direct relation to it? Now all of a sudden, when it's convenient, you want to piggyback off of the plight of actual Black Americans with racial slurs. This is not me saying that it's okay to call anybody with dark skin that looks like me the N-word. I'm just saying they don't have the same relation to the word. And this pale-faced guy, he needs to shut the hell up and mind his business. He keeps butting in, talking about, oh, y'all saying ICE is not your problem. Sir, get your community together and y'all go out there. I'm tired of y'all talking and y'all are sitting in the comfort of your living room with your ring light in front of you, telling Black Americans what they need to do and where they need to go. And I really cannot get over the fact that he's saying, oh, they're deporting Black American. No, we're not doing flat blackness. People that have an immigrant background is not synonymous with Black Americans that have a long lineage here in this country. Just because that Somali woman has the same hue of complexion, that does not make her a Black American. That is a Somali American if she has citizenship. So stop that. I don't agree with brute force. I don't agree with us being illegally and unlawfully detained. Like I said, this is something that we have been crying about and shouting from the rooftops, but y'all did not give a fuck because y'all don't care about Black American people. Now that one of the clear pale-faced ladies got unalived by ICE, and y'all care more about the immigrant class than y'all ever did about us, now all of a sudden y'all seem to find a little bit of empathy. I'm just very confused. Because if Johnny had 5 apples, y'all would have been trying to get qualified immunity overturned. But y'all didn't give a damn when it was just us. Don't you ever try to flat black me, bitch, and use a Somali woman that literally they call us Jadairs and say that they Arab. They barely even can say they African and use that as your goddamn excuse or your goddamn example of a black American getting detained by ICE. Girl, bruh. Spread of it's the Brooklyn way. Got to be more motherfucking careful. What?
Let me say this to black people, and I want to be very clear because, again, as he said, I agree with him on one thing. This is not a Democrat versus Republican, liberal versus conservative, even though you may see a whole lot of liberals out there protesting and spewing hate and propaganda on the internet. It's not. What it is this is not a racism issue. This is not a classism issue. This is an issue of people not following the law, and I don't care what they tell you. I do not care what they tell you. Do not, under any circumstances, start to fall for the propaganda and believe that illegal migrants that have come into this country, committed crimes, should be allowed to stay in this country illegally and not be deported, especially when so many people did it the right way. If it was important to do it the right way, then you would have done it the right way. You can't reverse Uno your way into doing things the right way. Now, a lot of people have gotten away with that, but it doesn't mean that it was right. And just because you was able to get away with it does not mean that we should continue to justify it. And what they want to do is they want to try to use black people as the poster child so that we can get involved like we have in so many other instances and stuff that does not involve us. And the reason why...
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that...
Nah, say psych. Say psych. Y'all can't be this stupid. You think you need to tell black people that ICE is... that law enforcement has been kidnapping black people, as if that isn't a part of our history, right? And the reason why policing in this country actually exists is dependent upon them kidnapping black people. I, like every other black person, get so tired of you balangis coming on this app trying to lecture us about history that we have lived. We've lived this shit. We've warned you guys that this is something that will happen because we've lived this shit. You don't have to tell us anything because we know. We've always known because they've always been doing it to us. What planet do you guys live on? Because I'm confused as to what planet you live on. What reality must you live in where you feel you need to tell black people that law enforcement officials, that ICE, would also target black people? We know. That's what we told you guys would happen in the last election. We weren't just telling you guys that this would be something that other groups would experience. We knew that it would eventually get to us. But the problem is that a lot of them didn't believe it because they believed that their protest vote against black people would only impact black people until the consequences of that vote came knocking at their door. I really want y'all to shut the fuck up. Just shut up sometimes. Shut the fuck up.
Black Americans, don't let these folks convince y'all asses to get out there and care about what ICE doing to these people. Let me say that once again. Do not let these motherfuckers online convince y'all to get out here and protest against ICE. Don't let them guilt you talking about, well, the Somalians, the Mexicans, all the immigrant groups, they stood with us when something happened to George Floyd. So the fuck what? Y'all gotta think during that time, what was going on around that time? COVID was happening around that time. COVID. We were stuck in the house around that time. That's why you've seen a lot of people come out and support that. Why it took George Floyd for people to care? Out of all the people that got unalive prior to George Floyd, that's when all of a sudden black folks care. When Breonna Taylor got unalive, what did we hear? We ain't hear nothing from these black folks. When Philando Castillo got unalive, we didn't hear nothing from these black folks. Even when baby Tamir Rice got unalive, we didn't hear nothing from these black folks. We didn't even hear nothing with the dude that got choked out in the train by Daniel Penny. Where was they at? Huh? Where was they at? And I'm gonna tell y'all something. A lot of my people keep saying, oh, these are immigrants that's making these videos talking about we need to stand with ICE. No, the fuck it is not. Black Americans. These are Black Americans saying this goofy shit. These are Black Americans. These are not tethers. These are not Africans. These are not just Caribbeans or Mexicans. These are Black Americans getting their ass online, doing these lives, talking about we need to fight for these folks. That's what the problem. See, I ain't finna be delusional. I'm with the delineation movement, but just because I'm delineating, I'm not going to be delusional and a fool. These are Black Americans that's making these goddamn videos trying to have us feel sorry for these people. It doesn't make sense. Y'all like to throw that shit in our face, and so what? They don't care about us. They don't. And they talking about, well, you know, the white folks been trying to put us in slavery. They mad about the Dred Scott and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? They had all these years to do something to us. Why they haven't done it yet? Why they haven't done it? We always gonna be the first op in white people's eyes. Duh. These people, what these people going through is nothing. These people getting taps on the wrist. We got unalive, drag. People got their genitals cut off, tarred and feathered, hung. Women got strung on trees, getting their bellies cut and babies falling out that motherfucker and landing on the ground, and you see white folks laughing. This ain't happening to these people, bruh. This is not happening. You not seeing a bunch of these people getting unalive by the police on camera, on TV. We're not seeing that. There's no immigrant Philando Castillo's getting popped all these times in front of their baby, and we sitting there watching, the whole world watching this man take his last breath. Fuck out of here. Do not fall for these folks, people. Do not fall for it. It's all a lie. It's all a con game. It's all some Democratic shit. I ain't gonna call it Democratic shit. It's this thing with Black people that irk my motherfucking soul. We feel sorry for people. We got this moral spirit within us. That shit is over with. Let them handle their battles, bro. They're not going through nothing. We're going to go through stuff more than they will. Every day, there's something happening to a Black American on this land while ICE is still fucking with these folks. Black Americans are still getting targeted, regardless. That's the thing that I don't get. These ICE want us to go against ICE people. Regardless of what's happening to the immigrants, niggas still getting fucked up out here. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Huh? Let me tell y'all something. We always been the first of everything. We ain't sitting here relaxing. We just ain't gonna put our energy to that. We got too much shit going on out here right now. Let them people fight them battles. Let them people that practice anti-Black hatred fight their own battles, bro. We ain't they daddy. They need to learn how to fight. See, they come from cultures where they want to worship white folks and shit. Now their feelings hurt, they don't know what to do. But the niggas in America been trying to tell them for decades, but they never want to listen. Black America, do not fall for this shit. Do not let these people guilt y'all. And be a fool out here, seeing a bunch of young Black folks out here hollering, let them stop it, this is wrong, man. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. Don't listen to these people. These people get online signing out intellectual. Now, Black people, just as well as ICE is rounding all these people up and doing these horrible things to other groups of people, just keep in mind, Black people, you are next. You are next. And what you think they're going to do to you? Man, you better sit your goof ass down. Heifer and nigga. Talking to the woman and the nigga. Talking that shit to me. The fuck wrong with you? That intellectual pseudo shit with the people with the bones and they know, what you call them, septum rings? We ain't listening to you niggas. Nobody ain't listening to y'all. Y'all ain't out there doing nothing. Go out there and get the septum pool. Let me see let ICE pull your septum ring and see what y'all gonna do. Fuck out of here, bro. This is dangerous. You setting our people up. God damn.
Thank you, folks, for watching to this very point where I do a critical review and analysis of the clips we just watched, adding weight and depth to them and putting them in perspective. So we just want to clarify this, that, the backlash from Black Americans is not denial. It's actual boundary setting. Black Americans, they're not confused, they're not uninformed, they're not indifferent. They're choosing not to be emotionally or physically drafted yet again. So over the next couple of minutes, we're going to address a couple of points. And the first one is that this message was really not about Black Americans. And over the next couple of minutes, we're going to address a couple of points with regards to this. So this message was really actually not for Black Americans. You see, the speaker is addressing Black Americans as if, he just discovered that state violence exists. The first problem is the assumption that Black Americans need to be warned about, government abuse. That's not awareness, that's projection. Black Americans don't need tutorials on, profiling, on detention or police brutality. These to them are everyday realities. And again, you don't need to be an expert in, on reading to know that, his tone came off a bit performative, almost excited, if you could read between the lines. This creates immediate distrust, hence, the backlash. Secondly, the creator is making a terrible mistake of, lumping all Black people into one category. Black Americans are rejecting being lumped with immigrants, not out of hatred, but out of historical specificity. There's a difference between being Black in America and being, a Black American. When you erase that difference, you erase the entire reason the Black American position exists. And to drive that point home, you see ICE is an immigration agency, right? But Black Americans, they're not immigrants. So mislabeling everyone as Black is lazy and, politically convenient. Thirdly, what the white guy is calling next for Black American is our everyday lived reality, is kind of always. So essentially what it means when they say Black Americans are next is that, they weren't paying attention when, the Black Americans came first. Because the list of injustices against Black Americans, policing, surveillance, mass incarcerations, economic exclusion, redlining and the stuff is endless. This isn't a new threat, it's a familiar one. The outrage feels late for Black Americans. And the fourth point, for Black Americans, this type of call looks like, a sacrifice and not solidarity. Black Americans, they sense when they're being pushed towards the front line yet again. There's a big difference between asking for solidarity and, recruiting, shock troops. Historically, Black Americans are expected to protest as usual. They're expected to march. They're expected to, risk their bodies. Then what happens after that? They get ignored when it's time to address, long-term harm. The white guy's message for the Black Americans, it felt like a fear-based mobilization. And then Black Americans are saying that, they already participated in whatever way that made sense for them. So according to the Black Americans, political participation already happened. And then, see, when they demand for more, it feels kind of dismissive. So listen to this carefully, folks. Voting is participation, Warning it's actually another form of participation. Withdrawal, you guessed it right, is also another form of participation. Black Americans warned about the consequences. They showed up during the voting and now are choosing protection over spectacle. And if you can read between the lines, for Black Americans, this is not apathy. It's just another form of strategy. Because refusing to engage doesn't mean that, people don't care. I opine that, sometimes resistance looks like marching. Other times, it looks like, staying home and protecting what you already have. That's why they're choosing, family, they're choosing stability, they're choosing mental health over, over anything that they're called to do. That's their priority for the moment. Again, survival itself is, resistance in our hostile system. After centuries of constant struggle, rest is not betrayal. And come to think of it, the white guy's frustration is also political. You see, when things go wrong, suddenly everyone is wondering why Black Americans are not participating, to save the day. These expectations are uneven, accountability is also selective. The pressure lands on the same group every other time. So even as I come to the close of this, Black Americans are not rejecting reality. They are rejecting manipulation. They are not confused. They are tired. And when a community that has, survived more than 400 years of being targeted, when they say leave us out of this, that's not ignorance. That's memory. And memory changes behavior. And that's my interpretation of the backlash from the Black American, community regarding the white man's post. So I implore everyone watching this, if you watch to this very point, it means this is something that, is exciting to you and you are interested in. Kindly weigh in the comment section, in the discussion in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed yet,